From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. Israel detonated over 315 mines at Isra University in Gaza, causing significant damage and triggering global concerns about cultural destruction. Experts argue that planting such a huge number of mines in a university goes beyond self-defense and constitutes ethnic cleansing. Israel has faced accusations of genocidal acts in Gaza, including the destruction of cultural landmarks and educational institutions, which were highlighted in South Africa's recent International Court of Justice case. The university revealed that the Israel Defense Forces had occupied the campus for 70 days before planting and detonating the mines. They targeted the institution's main building, a museum, and a university hospital. This widespread destruction is seen as another instance of perpetuating war crimes. The incident adds to the 8 universities already targeted since the IDF's bombardment began in October. Birzeit University in the West Bank condemned the destruction and accused Israel of stealing 3,000 valuable artifacts from Isra's museum. Critics say that these actions are part of Israel's broader goal to make Gaza uninhabitable, sparking outrage worldwide. At least 142 Palestinians were killed and 278 others wounded in Israeli strikes in Gaza over the past 24 hours. Israel carried out extensive bombardments in southern Gaza, including an airstrike on an apartment block near a Gaza City Health facility, killing 15 people. Adding to the crisis, Gaza is enduring a near-total telecommunications blackout, making it challenging to share information. The Israeli army has also admitted to digging up graves in Gaza to confirm the status of prisoners. UN human rights officials say they have documented cases of Israeli forces beating and blindfolding detainees. The death toll now stands at 24,762 killed and 62,108 wounded in Israeli attacks on Palestine since October 7th, with Israel's reported death toll from the October 7th Hamas attack at 1,139. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush participated in a vigil in Washington, D.C. to honor and seek justice for Palestinian journalists. Tlaib, the only Palestinian American member of Congress, decried the Israeli government's brutal attacks that have made Gaza the most perilous place for journalists. Palestinian reporters say they are deliberately targeted by Israel to suppress coverage of its actions. Bush, the sponsor of a Gaza ceasefire resolution in the U.S. House, criticized the Biden administration's complicity in these attacks and the silence of the American media. The International Criminal Court said last week that it is investigating attacks on journalists in Gaza as part of its broader probe of war crimes committed in the Palestinian territories. Deputy Director of Advocacy at the Freedom of Press Foundation, Caitlin Vogus, says the Biden administration needs to use its influence with Israel to demand that journalists in Gaza can safely document the war. Meanwhile, another Palestinian journalist was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza on Thursday, taking the toll to 119 since October 7th. The United States has emphasized its unwavering support for Israel, despite Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu openly rejecting the idea of a Palestinian state. State Department spokesman John Kirby reiterated President Joe Biden's commitment to a two-state solution for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, contradicting Netanyahu's stance. Netanyahu's rejection of a Palestinian state has drawn criticism, with Senator Elizabeth Warren stating that he is saying the quiet part out loud. The U.S. remains committed to Palestinians' right to an independent state with peace and security. Despite the ongoing conflict and military campaign, the U.S. is focused on ensuring Israel's self-described defense against Hamas and providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. The U.S. has said it envisions a post-conflict Gaza with representative governance without reoccupation. Netanyahu has told the U.S. that he opposes the establishment of a Palestinian state as part of any post-war scenario. The Israeli Prime Minister pledged to continue a military campaign until Israel achieves a decisive victory against Hamas. Stuart Soldowitz, the former U.S. official who was charged with harassing and stalking a halal food vendor in New York, has reached a deal to have the charges dropped. The former deputy director in the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Israeli and Palestinian Affairs will now participate in an anti-bias counseling program. This agreement has been criticized by Muslim rights groups, who see it as an injustice to the victim, Mohammed Hussein. The New York chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations says Seldowit's lenient sentence undermines the justice system and does not do justice to the seriousness of his actions. Seldowitz was arrested last November after being caught on video engaging in a racist and Islamophobic attack on the 24-year-old food truck vendor. Hussein says Seldowitz approached the cart and asked him where he was from. Then he began harassing him when he said he was from Egypt. Seldowitz told Hussein, "You're a terrorist. You support terrorism. And if we killed 4,000 Palestinian kids, you know what? It wasn't enough." Seldowitz also threatened to use his political influence to have Hussein deported to Egypt, where he would allegedly be tortured. The Council on American Islamic Relations is calling on PayPal to explain why it delayed a Muslim individual's donation to a mosque in Ohio. In a screenshot sent to CARE, the complainant's PayPal account displayed a message that their donation was delayed, linking to the Israel national emergency. Despite numerous delays and changing resolution dates, PayPal eventually released the payment. The company claims the hold notification contained no information related to Israel's war on Palestine. The complainant and their family had been donating regularly for close to 2 years. However, a donation in November was flagged for review. CARE Director of Research and Advocacy Corey Saylor stressed that donating to a place of worship is normal, and banking as a Muslim is not a crime. He says the incident is similar to discriminatory financial practices known as banking while Muslim, which have targeted Muslims in the past. Saylor has urged PayPal to clarify the situation and ensure that Muslim transactions are not unfairly targeted amid the increasing anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian discrimination in the U.S. and in other countries. Bosnian Novelist terminates a contract with German publisher over the Gaza war. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Bosnian author Lana Bastasic has cut ties with her German publisher, S. Fischer. This was after her publisher's alleged silence on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, as well as ongoing censorship issues in Germany. Bastasic had won the 2020 EU Prize for Literature. She expressed her moral and ethical responsibility to disassociate herself from S. Fischer, accusing the publisher of ignoring the suffering of Palestinians while claiming to address anti-Semitism. She insisted that taking this step is the right thing to do, despite mixed opinions on boycotting German cultural institutions due to the government's pro-Israel stance. Bastasic's move has garnered widespread support on social media. It highlights the growing concern over the humanitarian situation in Gaza, where basic necessities remain critically scarce as Israel wages war on Palestinians, killing over 24,000 since October 7th and destroying basic infrastructure. The US-based Rasa film group has initiated a groundbreaking film collective to champion projects that portray Muslim characters in empowering roles. Launched at the Sundance Film Festival, which is being held in Park City in Utah until January 28th, it will also highlight films with strong female leads and stories rooted in social justice. These will aim to redefine Muslim representation in the film industry. Rasa has already begun discussions for future projects. These featured the talents of Muslim or Pakistani women, including Aiza Fatima, Mehreen Jabbar, and Rehana Mirza. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has refused to comply with a federal government order to give Border Patrol access to Shelby Park along the U.S.-Mexico border. This was after 3 migrants drowned near Shelby Park on January 12th. Texas National Guard troops have blocked entry for Border Patrol officials, escalating tensions between Texas and the Biden administration over immigration enforcement. Asserting Texas's constitutional authority to safeguard its territory, Paxton rebuffed the Department of Homeland Security. DHS General Counsel Jonathan Mayer has accused Texas of hampering Border Patrol operations, as well as violating federal law. Mayer cited an incident where the state allegedly denied access for a Mexican rescue operation. Pakistan has denied the claims and said federal officials did not seek park access that night. While the federal government is claiming compliance with asylum laws, Texas has challenged its jurisdiction in the matter. NATO has announced the mobilization of approximately 90,000 soldiers from all 31 member countries for its largest military exercise in decades. In a press conference, Supreme Allied Commander Europe General Christopher Cavoli said the exercise, codenamed Steadfast Defender 2024, will begin next week and last until May. Cavoli says the alliance will demonstrate the ability to strengthen the Euro-Atlantic area through the transatlantic redeployment of forces from North America. The war games will also include simulations involving new conflict scenarios against a near-equivalent enemy. In addition, Cavoli says they will show the unity, strength, and resolve of the NATO allies to protect each other and enforce a rules-based international order. Sweden has also been invited to participate in the military conference as the country seeks to join the alliance. Bangladesh has discovered a COVID-19 subvariant for the first time. The JN1 subvariant is an Omicron strain that has been designated a variant of interest by the World Health Organization. Dr. Tahmina Shireen, director of the State Institute of Epidemiology, Disease Control, and Research, says the JN1 was detected in a sample of 5 people. The number of infections with this variant could continue to rise as COVID begins to spread in winter. However, the doctor notes that this variant is not fatal. The WHO confirmed the new strain last December, adding that the subvariant can spread quickly but is less severe. On Thursday, the Directorate General of Health Services reported 18 new cases of COVID-19 infections. Since 2020, nearly 30,000 people have died in Bangladesh, and more than 2 million of the 170 million population have been infected with the coronavirus. Muslim NGOs in Japan have been distributing hot meals for earthquake victims in the Ishikawa region. The province was hit by the 7.6 magnitude New Year's Day earthquake. Hundreds on the area's Noto Peninsula received hot meals thanks to the efforts of the NGOs. The death toll from the earthquake has crossed 200, while at least 120 people are still missing as the search for survivors continues, according to Kyodo News. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.